Hi, good morning everyone. Welcome to Linda Sue Plants for You. Today I'm going to be bringing to you a little repotting session. I've been trying to kind of revamp all of my plants here in my home. There's something about changing seasons for me that makes me want to rearrange things, and since I'm not able to rearrange furniture anymore, I guess I'm taking it out on my plants. But one of the things that I find that happens to me quite often, and I'm sure also to many of you, is when I get everything in what I think is its perfect spot, and I get so excited because I love the way it turned out, and it looks like it was just meant to be where it is. And then after a month and a half, 2 months, because plants are growing living things, it kind of changes the look or the feng shui, or I say feng shui. I believe I've been corrected on that a few times, but I'm not a politically correct person, so just have to take it for what it is from me. But when that happens, then I find that I have to move the plant, and that kind of upsets the whole balance of everything else there. So I've been really doing a lot more, I guess, contemplating than anything before I start moving things around, and with the idea in mind that the plants, we're going into spring soon, and things will be taking off. So I want to make sure that there's plenty of room for them to grow in the spots that I put them in. And that being said, though, most of my plants are still growing quite readily, even though we're in what we consider almost the dead of winter now here in Wisconsin. I don't find that my plants go dormant or stop growing during this time of year. I guess there's a couple that maybe there might be an exception to, but for the most part, I would say about 95% of my plants continue to grow, and some of them grow even more than they do in the what's considered the growing season. And I think part of the reasoning for that is I like the temperatures really cool around me. So in the summer, I tend to run the air conditioning, and even though I try to keep the thermostat set at about 70 and 72 if I can, very often it ends up down 69, 68, and for some plants that's good, and some plants not so good. And then once I turn the heat on, within a week or two, all of a sudden the plants start taking off again. So I know a lot of plants are good at certain temperatures, or between a range of temperatures, and that's different pretty much for every plant, the optimum temperature and humidity. But I think most plants will survive and grow in anywhere from 68 to 85 degrees, somewhere in there. And like I said, there are exceptions to that, so please don't take that as a cut and dry fact for every plant. All right, moving along. Excuse me, and I am having a problem here with my voice today. I apologize ahead of time. I'm not going to apologize after I every time cough. Just know that I'm aware of it, and I can't do anything about it. But I am excited. I'm so excited because, well, for several reasons. Probably the biggest one is my Adansonii that I received. This was a cutting from Suzette's Gardens, another YouTuber. I like to promote her channel whenever I can because she's got an awesome channel. She's got hundreds and hundreds of plants. She grows inside and out, and I just love watching her videos, and she's a friend of mine, so I like to help her as much as I can. And by the way, folks, she's at 900. She's really close to her 1,000. So if you know anyone that enjoys watching YouTube videos, give her a shout out, and maybe, you might have a friend that might want to subscribe to her channel, and let's help her get to that 1,000 mark. She works so hard at this, and She's so good with her plants, and she gives out great, great information to plant people. And if anyone deserves that 1,000 mark, she sure does. And although that's not her highest priority, I really would love to see her get to that point myself. Okay. For Christmas, one of the things that I got in my little Santa bag from my daughter, which I was so excited about, is this. And you're going to probably be rolling your eyes and scratching your head and saying, well, what the heck does salon care have to do with plants? Well, if you watched my, I think it was my second last video, or maybe it was even my last one, where I was repotting my string of bananas, and it was getting really leggy, and I was twisting it around the top of the pot, which we're going to do with this later. And what happened was I had to use floral wire, which is fine. It's easy to cut, it's easy to come by, and I'm going to turn you just a little bit. I think you're a little too far away there. But I had mentioned hairpins, and some people ask me, what are hairpins? Well, this is a hairpin. It's not a bobby pin. It's different from a bobby pin, and it works great for holding stems down into the soil. You just put it around the stem and secure it into the soil. Sometimes you have to open them up and widen them up a little bit, but these are perfect for that. And this box, I don't know what she paid for it, but she got it at a salon shop. And there are 720 pins in this box. So my guess is I got probably a lifetime supply for me. So thank you, my dear daughter. I'm really excited about these. And like I said, that was one of the many gifts that I received on Christmas Day, and I'm just so grateful for family and people that, you know, when you get things like that, that tells me that she was paying attention not only to my videos, but went out of her way to find those for me, because I couldn't find them anywhere. I looked everywhere and they just didn't sell them anymore. And I suppose probably because people don't use these much anymore in their hair, right? We all have long straight hair, most of us. And so, okay. I also want to do a real quick disclaimer here. I do have my cell phone next to me, and if that buzzes, I may have to put you on hold and come back. I am not able to do my grocery shopping myself. My husband has had to take over that job, and sweet as he is, he almost always, when he's at the store, will have a question about something. Otherwise, he's very good at it, and I appreciate him so much. I love him so much, and I'm very, very blessed to have such a great husband. So if I do have to be interrupted by that, I know that you'll all understand and forgive me. Okay, let's get to it. All right, the first thing I want to do, because I want to get this out of the way, I don't want it to be knocked over. Well, this is my Kangaroo paw fern, and as you can see, I've got trouble in Houston here, and I've done a lot of research, and I do believe this is a watering issue. There goes another one. So I am going to try my darndest to save this plant. I've got good roots in here yet, I believe. I'm going to be pulling this out of here shortly, and we're going to look at that and see. But I've lost a lot of this plant, and I'm not sure why. But I'm going to attempt to revive it. And then this plant, this is a red mistletoe cactus. It's beautiful when it's big and huge. These actually hang down from the pot, and then they send out these shoots with these really tiny feminine like seed pods or whatever. I'm not even sure what they are on the ends. It was just a beautiful plant, and I ordered it off the internet, and I forget what the description was, but it wasn't this, folks. I was so sad when I got this in the mail. I've had this now for several months and it's doing nothing. I'm going to try and put it in a bigger pot and see what happens. And that's going against my better judgment, but I don't know what else to do. And it's not even healthy looking. It's kind of, I don't know, it should be shinier. It's dull, and I'm just not, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to make it. I hope it does, but I'm going to repot that today. And I'm going to plant some of these up today. This is the burro's tail. This is the fallout from the one that I just purchased a few weeks ago. If you saw my video on my mini plant haul, I had purchased a really gorgeous full burro's tail plant. I think it was $16. It was really, really inexpensive for what I got. And this kind of fell off into the bag. Since then, my daughter and granddaughter have been over, and they saw that plant, and they both fell in love with it, which surprised me. So I'm going to pot up, I already have one started in my kitchen windowsill, and I'm going to pot up another one so that they each get one. And I know they're slow growing, but hopefully it'll grow nonetheless. And then this plant, isn't that a cute little glass? It's a vintage looking Coca-Cola. Those of you that are my age will remember the Coca-Cola days. And these are the kind of glasses they used to use to serve it in at the soda fountains. And I know many of you won't know what that is, but those of you that remember that will get a chuckle out of that. So anyway, I'm using that to root this up. Now, this is the Ruby Cascade cuttings I also received from Suzette. And she's been after me to get this in soil, and I've just been so afraid to do that. I was afraid I was going to lose it. And the other day, I was sitting here thinking, years ago, we were taught when we had real fine roots or plants that were real fussy about watering, we put them in, I'm going to move you a little bit closer here. I think you're still a little too far away. We put these in, well, we put those plants in water, and then what we did is we just added a little soil every couple days, once a week, a little at a time, so it would get used to extracting its oxygen and minerals and things that it needs from the soil rather than the water. I've had problems where I have rooted things in water, and then when I converted them to soil, they ended up either struggling or dying on me, and that just was not something I wanted to happen to this. So here's what we're going to do. This is fresh water. This is distilled water, and I also have hydrogen peroxide in this water. It's 1/3 cup of 3% hydrogen peroxide to 1 gallon of distilled water. That also helps revive roots that are struggling and other problems with plants. And that is what I used to revive my dad's plant, the peace lily. And it will also give you, it'll just give it more strength, and I find I get more color, a greener color, when I water with that every now and then. I don't do it very often, but this last watering I did use the hydrogen peroxide, and that's what's in this water. So I'm hoping that'll give it a little boost too. So let's see if you can see what I'm doing here. Alright, we'll put this back here. Okay, I think I'm trying to get you closer, and I think I'm actually making it worse. Okay, there. That should work. Okay, so I'm going to just take a little bit of my pre-mixed soil, and I'm going to add it in here. And I'm going to push it down a little bit. And like I said, I haven't done this in a very long time, so many, many, many years. So I'm hoping that this is going to work. I don't see why it should change just with time. And there we go. Now I'm going to leave it that way, and I'm going to just keep an eye on it. I have this sitting right in front of me on my windowsill over my kitchen sink, so I can see it every day. And that's where I'm going to put it again, so I can keep an eye. And then, depending on what this looks like and how the leaves actually respond, I'll be adding more dirt, maybe another tablespoon in a couple of days, okay? And I'm hoping that that's going to do it. I'm hoping that it's going to live and it's going to thrive and grow big and beautiful like the other plants that I've seen like this. I have a thing for hanging plants. They're my absolute favorite, and especially the dainty feminine ones. I really, really love these. So I'm hoping that that's going to work out. Let's see if I can untangle that a little bit here. Yeah, that one I'm not sure. I may have to tweak this. I might have to cut this one down a little because I'm not sure if that root is any good in there, but we'll see. The leaves look good, so maybe we'll just leave it alone. Sometimes less is better. Sometimes the more I futz around with something, the worse I make it, so we might just leave it the way it is, right? Okay, so that's that one. And this one, you can see it's got a good drainage hole. Start with a clean pot. I always like to start with a clean pot. I'm going to put a little soil in there. Well, actually, I'm going to fill it with soil because we're just going to basically lay these on top, water it really good, and we're going to put a little bit of worm castings in there. And although I do have some added to my soil mixture, I like to add it again when I'm repotting, just a little extra boost. I guess you can use too much of this and harm your plant, but I've never had it happen, and I don't know anybody that has. So, okay, there. So we're going to put that, we're going to put water on here, and we're going to, I'm going to take some of the bottom pieces off so that I can put this in the soil a little bit, like this, okay? And hopefully it won't rot. Let me just get my water. And I think we're going to have to use this drainage pot for now. I'll have to dig the saucer out that goes with that, but we're going to have to make this wet, otherwise it isn't going to hold, it isn't going to stand up in there. When soil is very, very dry, it takes a while to absorb the water. The peat, it tends to make it float. And I don't know why that is, but it does. Put a little more. And you can see all the water sitting in the bottom of the saucer here. Now if I were to leave this sit here a while, it'll suck it all back up in there, so I think that's what we're going to do for right now. I waited a little bit too long to pot these up, but they're still in pretty good shape. Ideally, whenever you're repotting something or when you're trying to root something, at least I have found, and I think it's pretty much with every plant, and you know, my rule is there's always exceptions to the rule. But I like to water my plants very thoroughly the night before, at least the night before, when I'm rooting plants. And that is to give them the most optimal amount of time, because they need to have moisture up in here and they need to be able to sustain themselves while they're growing roots. So the better health that they're in, the faster that's going to happen and the more success you're going to have. So it's always wise to, I believe, to water it good the night before or the day before or even 2 days before, depending on how fast they're drinking. That's really important when you're trying to root purple velvet plants. If you give them a good watering before you take the cuttings, it helps a lot when you're rooting them. The success rate is much, much better. Now, I actually have enough here for even another pot, and I think that's what I'm going to do is we're going to leave this like this, and I think I'm just going to put a couple stragglers in here and see if they take. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Now it's really important for me to keep my eye on this in the next couple weeks, especially the next few days. And if any of these, like this one is already probably not good to go in there, these stragglers that I'm throwing in there, if I start to see them shriveling or rotting, it's important to take those out, because that is not good for the plant. It's not good for, you end up with fungus gnats and other kinds of things. You just don't want to have decaying plant matter in with your plants. So I'm going to go through these off camera, and I think I'm going to start another smaller pot of these, because I think I've got enough in here right now. Okay, so we're going to set that aside. And now I want to put this in a hanging pot, and I already have a couple here. I don't have the top thing on, and I did just take this out of a bin. This is clean, but it's got some residue on that spilt on it. So okay. Again, this is my Adansonii. These were cuttings from Suzette, and they are growing. They're healthy, and I almost lost it. It took a while when I rooted these in water and then I put them in soil, and it was not looking good at all for a very long time. And then all of a sudden it started perking up, and I was so excited, and I'm getting all kinds of new growth. So I want to put it in this pot because I'm going to hang this in my living room on my stand that I was going to turn into a fern corner. I decided against that because that happens to be near a front door that gets, you know, a lot of movement back and forth, and there's probably not enough humidity on that shelf for ferns to stay healthy. So instead, I decided I'm going to put all of my smaller vining hanging plants on that stand and wind it around the whole stand. I think it's going to be gorgeous. It's going to look like one big, you know, mass of greenery at some point. And I think this plant will like it there. I had it there, but I didn't have it in a hanging pot. So let's see what we can do with that. I'm going to put some soil in there. My mixture, again, is just soil, cocoa coir, little peat moss, and perlite. I'm going to add a little worm castings. Even though I already have some in there, I don't have much. This is my my dirt emptying bowl that I'm going to, I don't like to reuse my soil unless it's just been recently repotted. And because I've had such an issue with fungus gnats recently, I mean, I think I finally got rid of them. So I don't want to take any chances. I'm just going to throw this dirt away. And in the scheme of things, you know, sometimes I feel like people might think it's wasteful, but I've got a lot of plants, my friends, and throwing away you know, 50 cents worth of soil for me is a much smarter thing to do than to keep reusing it and hope that I don't have a problem. And I have in the past, I have transferred problems from one plant to another, not realizing that there were still, you know, things going on in the soil. And so I just feel like, why take a chance? I mean, there's probably not more than about 30, maybe there's 30 cents worth here. I doubt if it's even that, because I think I paid like $3.99 or $4.99 for the bag of soil, big huge bag of soil, and probably about the same price for the perlite. So in all reality, it's not that much. Okay. Now I'm gonna put her. You can see the roots. They're very healthy. They're very strong and healthy. So that's exciting. Oh, look at, there's one sticking way out. Okay. All right, now we're going to put some soil on the top. And again, I'm going to try and be really careful not to overfill my pot, because I have a habit of doing that, and then it makes for a very messy time when I go to water my plants, because the water wants to spill over the edge. So we're going to try and get it in there a little deeper. You know, sometimes old habits are really hard to break. One of the old habits I broke was my overwatering habit. I was a chronic overwaterer, and I lost a number of plants because of it. And actually what cured me of that was buying more plants. And I think the reason is because I didn't have time to overwater. I had too many to take care of. When I only had a handful, I wanted to do something with them. I wanted to, I don't know, I say play with them because basically that's what we're doing, right? Just like little girls play with their dolls and little boys probably play with their trucks or whatever they do nowadays. And us crazy plant people, we play with our plants, don't we? I know I do. Well, that little guy just does not want to get down in there. Let's do this. That's the one with the real long root. Well, maybe he'll stay down once I get it wet. I'm going to put it in there just for now while I water, so I don't end up with water all over the table here, hopefully. And isn't that just beautiful? Once I get the soil the way I want it, I'm going to take one of these vines and I'm going to wrap it around the top of the pot and I'm going to secure it with my bobby pins. But I don't think I'm going to wait that long to do this because I've got one more plant that I really want to repot while I have you here with me, and I need the room for that. So let's go my kangaroo paw fern. I absolutely love this plant. It was very, very healthy when I brought it home, and I had it in my west window, and it was doing fine. For many months, I had no problems. And all of a sudden, it just started to decline. And I really don't know why. So if anyone has experience with this plant, and if you have any suggestions, please, by all means, let me know. I don't believe it was a watering issue. I kept it evenly moist. And I don't tend to overwater, so I'm not sure. I don't know what happened here. I don't know what happened. And as you can see, there's still some very healthy leaves on here, but it's declining. Every day I'm losing more. I'm very sad about that. I don't want to lose this plant. And I'm hoping that it will recover. So we're going to give it some new soil. And see what happens. I am putting it in a little bit bigger pot because it appears to be very full in there. I think it's a little pot bound. So we're definitely going to give it a bigger pot and see if that helps. Oh, I want to get the soil in here without making you wait a million years. Okay. And we're going to move the Adansonii. because we need more for this. By the way, I hope you all had a wonderful holiday season. Tonight is New Year's Eve. A lot of people have big plans, big parties. Years ago, we used to have my brother and sister and their spouses would come and spend the night, and we'd cook up a feast. We had crab legs, and I made twice baked potatoes, and homemade cheese sauce over fresh cauliflower and broccoli, and we had beef tenderloin we did over the fondue. It was a great time. I miss those days. But we were much younger then. Now I can't even make it till the ball drops. But that's okay. We enjoyed it. And then the next day, New Year's Day, is my birthday. So I'm almost always guaranteed a party, right? But what we did years ago is we would get up and we'd have leftovers for breakfast, and then we'd go out across the street on the lake and we'd go ice fishing. I had my own ice fishing shanty and all the stuff that we needed to go in there. And we'd get dressed up. It was usually probably between 0 and 20 degrees, sometimes a little warmer, sometimes a little colder, but either way we were ready for it. And many years ago my folks bought me an ice fishing shanty for my birthday, and so that was nice because we could get in out of the wind if it was a really bad day. But most of the time we just use that for storing things and what have you. We like to be outside. But those were some really fun times for me, and I miss those days a lot. Okay, let's see. Well, it feels like it is very pot bound. And I'm kind of hoping that I'm right on that, because that could explain part of the problem. And if that's true, then when I get it in the the bigger pot, it should work out real well. Oh boy. I am about to make a big mess, folks. This does not want to come out of here. And as you can see, the pot is broken. Not sure how long that's been that way. Okay. Oh, here it comes. Yay. All right. Let's see what we're looking at. I think I'm going to have to amend my soil mixture. If this is in the kind of soil that it's supposed to be, there seems to be either a lot of cocoa coir or peat, or both in here. It's kind of hard to tell after the fact, but that's what I think I'm looking at. Oh, lost a whole piece there. Now, this is still damp. So, gosh, I don't know. I thought it was going to be real dry when I pulled it out and be underwater, but nope, that's not it. And I know this plant really likes to stay moist. So, I'm not sure. I'm just trying to get some of the old soil off of here. Probably should have been repotted a while ago. Yeah. You know what? I don't think I'm going to mess with this too much more. I think we're just going to get this in the new pot with the new soil. So I feel like I'm breaking off a lot of roots too. And you guys know how much I hate that when that happens. So, let's just get her in her new home, okay? I hope you guys are all agreeing with me, since I can't hear you. Now the aerial roots, I believe it's important to get the aerial roots back out in the air, not in the soil. So that's what I'm doing. Oh boy. I think I might have set this too high in here. I'm going to take some of the soil out. And you can see the aerial roots here, hopefully. They need to go on the outside. And before I fill in this side, I'm going to try and get some soil on that side of the plant before I get it too secure in the pot. Because I don't want to break off any of these roots. Another interesting plant that a lot of you have is the rabbit's foot fern. And I like that plant, but I cannot get past the roots that hang out the side, because to me, they look like real rabbit's feet. And for some reason, it just creeps me out. I know that's weird, but I'm being honest. And I know we went to Milliger's greenhouses a while ago, and they had those plants, and I almost bought one. It's like, I really want one of these, but it already had the, lost another one. It already had the rabbit's foot hanging down over the side, and it's furry. It looks like a rabbit's foot, and it just, I don't know why, but I just can't get past it. And I know that sounds silly, but it is what it is. And now here's a piece, but it has roots on it. So I'm going to pot this up when I get done putting this one in here. So I don't know, is there anyone else out there like me that feels that way about the rabbit's foot fern? And does it creep you out too to look at that? Or am I just alone in that, and maybe people think I'm a little crazy, and maybe I am, I don't know. But it bothers me. Okay. Alright, so we're going to get the dirt in here as best we can. I don't want to put too much on the top, because you most of the time you don't want to go over wherever the soil level originally was on a plant, because if it's used to being out in the air and you cover it in soil and then you get it wet and it's sitting in that wet soil, it'll cause it to rot. And that's true with a lot of plants, but not all plants. So once again, there's always that exception, but better to be safe than sorry. And because these were exposed to the air, I'm going to try to be really careful not to overfill the soil. Oh, folks, keep your fingers crossed. I'm going to be very, very sad if I lose this plant. And they're hard to come by. We don't see them here in Wisconsin very often, at least not in my neck of the woods. I had never seen one here before this. I did see another one at Stein's when I did my last plant excursion. And I wanted to buy it, and I was excited about it, and I looked at my husband and I said, oh my gosh, look, they got a kangaroo paw fern. And he kind of curled up his nose, and I said, wait, you mean you don't like that plant? He said, no, not really. That kind of burst my bubble. And, you know, if I really wanted a plant, I would buy it, whether he liked it or not, because it's not going to change his life any, but I didn't really need two of them, and I guess the fact that he didn't get excited for me kind of, I don't know, it just put a damper on I didn't end up getting it then because of that, so, but now I'm almost wishing I would have, because like I said, I never see these, and this is, you might want to just go to the search bar and search for kangaroo paw fern and see what these look like when they're big and healthy. And I guess they're not for everybody, but boy oh boy, I think they are just absolutely gorgeous. It's got that delicate, even though the leaves are big, it's got that delicate look to it that I like so much. Yeah. All right, I think we're pretty much done with this. I'm going to add a little more worm casting, just because I know it could use that little extra oomph there. All right, I think I'm going to give this a good watering, and I'm going to clean up the plant a little bit. Some of these leaves I don't really want to cut off because I'm not sure if they're completely gone or if they have the ability to come back, so maybe I'll just leave it alone for now and water it and then clean it up in a couple of days when I know for sure, you know, whether or not the leaves are going to make it. And I am just going to stick this is rotted here. I thought this, oh, maybe not. I'm going to have to look at that closer under the light. I can't tell if that's a, oh no, it's not. It's an aerial, it is an aerial root. So I'm just going to take this and stick this, you can see that it has roots here. I'm going to put that part in the soil and hang this over the side of the pot. And hopefully that'll help fill in this bare spot on this side. And when I get her all cleaned up and watered up, I'm going to put her back, put her back in my west window where she lived for a long time very happily, and see what happens. Okay. Wish me luck, friends. My plant friends out there. Okay. I still have my little plant here that I've got to redo, but I think I'm going to do that off camera just because we're getting along on time again. And all I'm going to do is put that in a little bigger pot, so not a big deal. The stuff that I really wanted to show you, I was able to show you. And I do have a lot of things planned, as I usually say at the end of my videos. I have a succulent dish that I'm going to be redoing, possibly later today or tomorrow. But there's a lot of things that's going to depend on. So just keep an eye out, folks. And if you are interested, most of you know what to do. Just subscribe to my channel and hit that notifications bell, and it'll give you the option of, I think it says personal and all and something else. I just click all, because then anytime I have any video come up, it will notify you that it's there. And you can choose to watch it or not watch it, but at least you know it's there. Okay, and then also if you like the video and you want to give me a thumbs up, that's always appreciated. And of course your comments. As long as they're kind. I mean, I love interacting with people outside of my home, and especially in the plant world, all my plant friends. So do shoot me a comment. Okay, and thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for those of you who have been subscribers for a long time. I really, really appreciate that. And you make my day. So, all right. Well, thanks again. You have a good New Year's. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye now.